It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. As always, I am one of your co-hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Ew.
And we're going to talk movies, new releases, old, film news, and physical media releases. We're just going to get right into it. Kind of a little bit of more chill week, even though it was the holiday season, so I was just trying to catch up and stay on top of the few things coming out in theaters. But first, Corey, how have you been, and what are we going to be drinking today?
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody. It was a few days ago, so I hope everybody had a good Christmas and good New Year's coming up here.
Happy holidays.
Fuck off, man.
Happy holidays.
Fuck off.
I don't know why I'm doing like a Jennifer Coolidge. Happy holidays.
I was getting a little Jack Nicholson from that, too.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
I'd actually prefer to be known as Jack Nicholson than Jennifer Coolidge. I don't have the tits to do that.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, you got good tits.
Not since I was 12, I'd say.
Yeah, you had good tits when you were 12.
I was like 204 pounds in 7th grade, of course. I had a wreck.
Dude, everyone was talking about him in middle school.
Yeah. Sweaty Mason, Bieber, blow-dried hair. Basically Trump hair, blow-dried, and massive fucking yayas on me.
That hair was the look for... That was like the Bieber hair for a while. That was everybody in high school had that, or middle school.
Yeah, but it wasn't good, so it was
No, it was like the skater hair.
I don't have a lot of photos of me from back then for obvious reasons.
I got some.
We
can pull some up. Maybe I'll put one right here. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. I got one on Facebook I can pull up. Yeah, I'll do that. Anyways, so it was a fun little Christmas time. Just for some programming notes, this is our last main episode of 2025.
Didn't even think about that until now.
Yeah, so it's been a fun year. Again, thank you to everybody that's listened and recommended and given us feedback on it. We appreciate it for sure. We are going to try and fit in one more episode this year, which is our top 10 movies of 2025. With that episode, we'll probably do some of the worst of the year, surprises, disappointments, other maybe unique awards we want to give out for movies this year. So we'll maybe do that like New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve, somewhere in there. I'll try and fit that in. And then we'll continue with regular episodes into the new year and then do our top 10 most anticipated of 2026 in the first couple weeks of January.
Yeah.
There's not much coming out in January, so I feel fine skipping the first couple weeks. It's okay.
A little dry patch will be fine.
Yeah. That's kind of what we got going forward here. And we're excited to go into another year of doing this. It's been a lot of fun over the past year and a half, whatever it's been. So... we got some reserves as far as the beverages this week. So little bench warmers, a singular Bud Light that I took, and then we have returning cast member Colt 45 from last week after the Elf Buzz Ball. And I just had to clear out the liquor fridge a bit. I do have more whiskey and the old fashioned stuff, so if we want to rip into that in a different episode.
Yeah, I was so tired. Like that is
you were tired?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shocker.
He's tired all the time.
Yeah, I'm always tired. But the Buzzball mixed with Colt 45, mixed with an old fashioned, mixed with a second Colt 45 that I slammed at like 6 a.m. when I woke up just so thirsty in the middle of the morning, but to me it was the middle of the night. Then I woke up and it was like my water bottle's on the other side of the room. I'm like, oh, Colt 45, warm? Fine. Sounds great. And I just took half of it. Oh my god, that was after last week's episode. I was in rough shape.
We had plans to, after last week's episode, I think we said we were going to play some Black Ops, some zombies, and then we didn't. We went through Tinder for a bit. I should clarify. I went through Tinder.
I'm married.
And then Mason fell asleep in the middle of me asking him what he thought about somebody, and I was like, well, I guess that's time for bed at 5 a.m. So
yeah. Post Avatar discussion.
Post Avatar, it was a long day. So, anyways, that's what we're drinking this week.
Yeah, we also had a pretty big holiday week in terms of some sneaky releases coming out right around Christmas, even though they're not necessarily Christmas movies. We had a great kind of release schedule last December too with Nosferatu, which you brought up before we started recording. But this year we have Marty Supreme, which is doing gangbusters apparently. Also in my screening, it was packed; every seat was sold, so that was awesome. But Marty Supreme coming from one of the Safdie brothers, potentially the better Safdie director.
Yes.
Going off of this showing, this compared to the Smashing Machine, which came out from Benny Safdie earlier this year. This is Josh Safdie, co-director of Good Time and Uncut Gems, which Marty Supreme, before we get really into it, is very much like a spiritual like brother to Uncut Gems. It fits that same kind of non-stop thrill ride, little character who needs to get shit done and accomplish what he needs to do. and he's on this voyage, and we're just along for the ride. But obviously, it's starring Timothée Chalamet. If you haven't seen him, he did stand on the Sphere in Vegas. Yeah, yelling! Which was also really cool. The Sphere light up like that orange Marty Supreme ball, which is a little bit of a
original
plot.
ball for an original guy.
A little bit of a plot point within this movie, but also great in the trailers. We got Gwyneth Paltrow as well, Tyler the Creator, George Gervin, Kevin O'Leary, a great cast, Fran Drescher. A really fun movie about Marty Mauser, a young man with a dream no one respects. He wants to be the greatest table tennis player of all time, and he's going to go to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. Kind of Timothée Chalamet being the character to bring Marty Supreme to life is the perfect actor. Best pairing probably from 2025 for me, aside from maybe Leo in One Battle After Another. But this was a movie that you and I were both kind of looking forward to. I didn't have the highest of expectations. I was hoping to just at least like it, and it blew me away. Corey, this being a movie you got to see before me, and then you very thoughtfully kept your thoughts to yourself until I was exposed to this movie. The one thing you did say was prepare to see a lot of semen, or a lot of cum. And I was like, all right, what does that fucking mean? And then the movie opens, and you kind of get a little tease there. But Corey, what are your thoughts on Marty Supreme?
Well, this is one, I don't think I had it on my anticipated for 2025 list, but it was one of the kind of award season movies that I remember hearing about and just being like, ooh, I think I'm really going to like this one, and kept tracking over the years. The casting came out. You mentioned the marketing has been fucking great. I love Timothée Chalamet. Some people have criticized it and think he's like going too method with it. I think it's fucking awesome, and he's like being Marty Mauser on the press tour, and like you said, on the Sphere, and like judging ping pong tournaments and flying in a blimp and doing all this shit. It's fucking awesome. And to spoil a little bit of my top 10 favorite movies of this year, this is my favorite movie of the year. I fucking love this. There's been a lot of movies this year I've really liked, and we'll get into that next week. But this is one that pretty immediately I was like, ooh, this is working. This is like, it's hitting on every level, and that's sustained throughout the entire runtime of the movie. And I was so happy to just have that feeling of like, this is it. This is my favorite of the year. At least of what I've seen so far. And I think, really, I mean, Timothée Chalamet, this is maybe my favorite performance from him. He's put in so much great work, and every year he just keeps winning White Boy of the Year because dude's fucking awesome. And the journey with Marty Mauser in this movie is so much fun because it is very like, Good Time and Uncut Gems in terms of the character trying to achieve something. And like with Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler's very unlikable, but very entertaining to watch in that movie.
And you can't help but root for him. Like, he's so driven and determined, even though he's kind of an asshole. You're like, I want you to succeed, even though all of your character traits are telling me otherwise. Like, I should be rooting against you for who you are as a person. And
with this movie, it's similar with Marty Mauser, but I think there's, especially the ending to the movie, there's a bit more to it where you're like, all right, I'm more on this guy's side than maybe like some of the other Safdie brothers movies. And I just love seeing movies about people that are sacrificing so much to pursue greatness. Some of my favorite movies of all time are Whiplash and La La Land. Sacrifice for something that you want in your life. I just love stories like that, so I think that's why this one connected with me so much. And it's just such an interesting unfolding of events where in any other movie, all these subplots, I'd be like, why the fuck is this dog subplot? Why is this hustling side pod in here? Why is this character here? It all works because it's just somebody that gets so close to achieving what they want, but then they make a mistake. And then they have to start from square one where they get money and then they lose that money. Or they get a small victory of getting a hotel room, but then the bathtub falls through the fucking floor. And they have to pay off that. And they have to deal with this dog that's there. It's just like, it's just a constant movie. It is so propulsive, and I think a big part of that too is the score of the movie. Daniel Lopatine's score is phenomenal here, and it's got like that synthy vibe that just propels the movie along. Supporting performances are all great. This is Gwyneth Paltrow's best performance in years. Oh yeah. I mean, like, she's been mainly MCU stuff for the past decade or more. So she was great. The one that stood out to me was Odessa Azion in this movie. She's a very interesting companion piece for Marty Mauser's character, or for Marty Mauser, because she keeps popping up, and they have some very high highs together, but very low lows, just mainly in things that he says to her, where I'm like, ooh, fuck, dude, that's fucking awful.
Yeah, he there's not a lot that he thinks that he doesn't then immediately say. Like, he has no filter, and he just will rake some of his loved ones over the coals. But he's like, this is all in pursuit of what I want to achieve. And if you're not on board, or if you're going to try and do something that you want for yourself that's going to derail what I want for me, sorry, you're going to the side. And that's kind of what Odessa Asian's character kind of goes through. And I really like their kind of touching relationship, and they establish, like, they've been friends since they were 8, and kind of they go to bat for each other. They bail each other out of stuff. They maybe have a fleeting romance as well, but I think all the characters, because there's a decent amount of characters, but everyone serves a perfect purpose in raising up Marty Mauser, or helping him achieve what he's setting out to do, because this is a story where it is very much like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, oh, we're getting momentum, 4 steps back. Like, it's just, we're trying to see this man succeed through all the trials and tribulations of getting enough money, meeting the right people, talking to the right, being in the right conversations, getting to the tournament itself. I think, Chalamet is fantastic, and his relationship and his chemistry with Odessa Asian, as well as Tyler, the Creator, which was really surprising, phenomenal throughout this movie.
Kevin O'Leary, also a standout, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the character makes sense for why they cast him here. He's kind of the same businessman. He runs a, like, pen company, which there's a lot of funny jokes about that in the movie, too. But he was really great, just as the business corporate dude that's, maybe partnering with Marty at some points, maybe not. This movie, just for me, it was so chaotic, but in a very controlled way. And I think Josh Safdie just has such a good control of that, and just comparing that with, like, the Smashing Machine, seeing his brother Benny, I just think you can see that Josh maybe had more, I don't know if control is the right word, but more influence on Good Time and Uncut Gems, maybe. But I just adore this movie. Like, I cannot wait to rewatch it. You have said multiple times, like, this feels like a classic already. Yeah,
this movie's timeless. Also, like, it so similar to The Secret Agent, which we'll talk about a little bit later on here today. But similar to The Secret Agent, I think Marty Supreme perfectly captures. Granted, I wasn't alive during the late 40s and early 50s, but it perfectly captures the late 40s, early 50s aesthetic from what I know, and it doesn't feel like a manufactured presence. It feels like a true character, and it feels real to the characters within the story. So everything is in service of this almost hero's journey of Marty Mauser, even though he's kind of a prick at times. And, like, I've seen some complaints of being like, he's just so unlikable. Why would I root for this guy? Kind of you and I talking about that. Like, Adam Sandler's not the most likable in Uncut Gems, but you kind of root for him a little bit to at least have some break, have a break-even point, win all that he's setting out to do, and get that diamond and that big fucking opal. And in this movie, for Chalamet or Marty Mauser to get to that tournament, to play, to prove that he is one of the greats, and also to spread the love and the recognition of ping pong, table tennis as a valid, verified sport within the States. So I think there's a lot of cool aspects to this. It is very much a movie starts off running and it doesn't stop. Like, there is no lulls. Yeah, there's a lot of subplots, but it all kind of is in service of helping him. He's on his own odyssey. He's trying to get to a place, and he has to do different kind of side quests and little subplots with different characters to get enough money, to get a means of transportation, to kind of avoid the authorities for some of the shadier shit he might be trying to do. But the one thing that really won me over of this character, and it kind of coincides with what you mentioned about, like, Whiplash and with La La Land, of characters sacrificing something to get what they want. But one thing that we get with Marty Mauser is he's so cocksure of it. He's pretty cocky, but it works because you can see behind his eyes and in Timothée Chalamet's performance that he means what he's saying. He's like, I'm going to be the best of all time. And there's a lot of good humor in that too, because he is so laying it on thick. He's saying harsh shit to maybe the wrong people to get his point across of how confident he is in his abilities and in himself. Like, I'm gonna drop a third bomb on them, or I'm gonna do what Auschwitz couldn't do to him. Like, there are some horrendous lines that are very funny in this movie, and I like that kind of unrelenting. Like, this is not the safe thing to say. This is not the more like granted, PC. This is a movie that's set in the late 40s, early 50s. It's not a PC movie with some of the shit that these characters say, and it's kind of refreshing to see just this harshness and vulgarity with a character that you're rooting for, even though you can acknowledge what he's doing or how he's doing it isn't necessarily the most like stand-up, respectable, reputable thing to do. So I really love Chalamet in this movie. I hope he's in that conversation for best performance by leading actor at this upcoming Oscars, which I feel like is kind of without a doubt he will be in that conversation. I would love to see Kevin O'Leary because he stole a lot of the scenes that he was in for me. I have almost no negatives with this movie. There's nothing that really bothered me. It's not my top 10, I don't think. It is in that top 20 for me. I think it's a very well-made movie. I liked watching it. I had a good time. It just didn't always hit me or resonate with me or have a lasting impression in some aspects that I typically look for in movies. But I still thought it was a great time and a really well-made movie. There was one line that Kevin O'Leary delivered towards the very end of the movie that I was just that kind of took me out of the movie for a second. And that's the only issue I have, is one line of dialogue where I was like, that felt weird. Okay, whatever. But I think that this is such a good hero's journey of a person that probably wouldn't be looked at as a hero when we're seeing all the black and white bad shit he's perpetrating and doing to try and attain what he wants. But the drive is so admirable. It's so hard to hate. You can't help but like Marty Mauser and root for him. And also, we didn't mention this at all, the ping pong scenes look great.
They're awesome.
They are so, I'm like, holy fuck. I played ping pong a lot growing up, and I suck ass compared to all the shit that I'm seeing in this movie. It looks flawless. It's so well edited. There is a scene with Timothée Chalamet and Tyler, the Creator, at a bowling alley, which you brought up before we started recording. I think that maybe 5 to 10 minute scene is maybe my favorite part of this movie. It's just them hustling and being in on it and knowing that these characters are going to run the table against a bunch of assholes in this bowling alley. I'm like, fucking do it to them. Let's go. So it was such a engaging, fun watch. It has a very bold opening that coincides with what your warning was of prepare to see a lot of semen or a lot of sperm. You do see sperm, but in the context of what it's doing, the movie really calls its shot, and it feels very cocksure of itself in the similar way that Marty Mauser is throughout this entire story of hey, this is someone important. And it felt like to me that this was Josh Safdie being hey, I'm going to show you something great. Just watch. Mm-hmm. And then it was. And I was like, holy shit, you did it. This is perfect. So, I mean, sorry, Benny Safdie. I can't wait to see it in the Odyssey, but I think you got a little out-directed by your brother here. This is a sensational movie.
I think this movie balances so many different things of having that kind of chaotic, frenetic energy, but also a lot of good drama and heartfelt moments, having that humor, like you mentioned, having great sports moments of, the genuine ping pong tournaments. I fucking love the shot where somebody, hits the ball and Marty is blowing the ball and it's hovering above his mouth. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's just such a great visual. And I think that it's kind of what you mentioned of the opening title sequence, which is hilarious. Yeah. I was laughing. Not many other people in the theater were laughing.
You could feel how people felt
as
about
people realized what it was.
Oh.
It took a second and then people were like, oh. Yeah. But also love when they do this, but they used Forever Young, the song in the trailer, and they used that again in the movie. I fucking hate when movies use something in the trailer and it fits so well, and they don't carry it over, but they do here. But just kind of that opening scene really does tie into the end of the movie, so it does have a purpose. It's not just a shocking, ooh, look at what we can do. But it's not to really spoil the ending, but it's kind of the pursuit of greatness and everything that Marty is willing to push aside. But then at the end of the movie, he's the kind of normalcy that he has tried to avoid, he kind of accepts in the end, the normalcy of life and kind of the steps you should go through. And I thought it was just a beautiful last scene in the movie. Almost brought me to tears. I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. This movie, much like Uncut Gems, is just one I've been thinking about so much. And I just really love, Josh Safdie and I guess both Safdie brothers too. But this movie really worked for me. Like I said, it's my favorite of the year. I don't know if I could see that changing. There's still a few things I need to watch from this year, but this one is so incredible. I can't recommend it enough. It's an original movie for, in the time when we have the avatars and we have remake things that are coming out. This is definitely one that you should check out in theaters for sure. Speaking of reboot remake things that we don't really know what to call them, we had a new Anaconda movie that is... I still don't know what to call it. It's not a sequel. It's not a reboot necessarily. It's a
meta reimagining?
Meta reimagining sequel, sort of, to the 1997 Anaconda movie, which I had not seen before. And I was actually really excited to watch that this week. And you have, first of all, fucking great cast in this movie. John, he's eating some chocolate. He's eating all my chocolates at my place, but I just by myself, so I can't eat them all. So thank you.
I think that this was full when I came over last week. And what was taken out of it was all me. So
I've had a couple.
I think you've maybe had 2.
I've had a couple in there, yeah. But no, keep eating them up, piggy.
You get those yayas back.
Yeah, get them titties back, boy. Anyways, Anaconda. Dude, Anaconda, great cast. John Voight in the movie doing his weird fucking accent that is so I don't know what he's doing, but it's really funny, and your eyes are glued to him because you don't know what the fuck's happening. Then you got J-Lo, you got Ice Cube, Eric Stoltz is in the movie, Owen Wilson in an early role, Danny Trejo. And essentially it's this crew that is going to film this documentary about this tribe in the Amazon rainforest. And along the way, they find a big fucking anaconda snake that is just wrecking shop.
What do you gotta do?
Now, I'd heard that this is a cult classic, that this is a so bad that it's good movie, and all that. And I want to start off by saying that, yeah, this movie is not good. A very blanket statement. However, I was surprised at how many things I thought were actually good in this movie, and I'm gonna go into those now. So don't click away. I wanted to put the blanket statement out there first, but I think that one, the cast is really fun and really enjoyable, and they're having a good time and very self-aware of what movie they're in. And I think that comes with the direction too, where it's just like this is a big fucking snake movie. It's off the coattails of Jurassic Park and playing off Jaws and the monster movie, and I think that the movie actually looks pretty good. It was like I like even B-rate movies back in the day used to be shot on film, and like all of this was shot on a river, like in South America, I think. So it's like it's actually in the jungle. It's on a river. It's on this big barge boat. It's not on a fucking green screen. It looks okay actually. Like it doesn't look too bad. And then the animatronic snake, when that is there, looks really good. Like it's an impressive animatronic. It's like I think I was reading like 20 feet long. And the thing would fucking spaz out and almost hit the cast members, so they were actually scared of the thing. That's kind of funny. I like that. Yeah. When it's the CGI snake, it obviously looks like shit. And that's what I feel like I heard most people say is like, oh, the CGI is awful. This movie looks fucking terrible. And I'm like, not all of it is bad. Like
the CGI is not great, but the movie looks like kind of fine.
Yeah, I'm like this. I was surprised by that. And it is like a very enjoyable movie to watch. Like it's an hour and a half of B-rate horror movie schlock, where you have J-Lo and Ice Cube as the main characters, fighting snakes, setting them on fire, blowing them up, pickaxes through the brains of these snakes. It's fun. It's a really enjoyable B-rate movie that I had a good time watching. Again, it's not good. But they do this semi-meta reimagining, whatever it is, in 2025, coming from Tom Gormican, who made The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which we both really like. Again, kind of a meta take on a movie or a character. And you've got a group of friends played by Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Steve Zahn, and Tandy Newton, who are all kind of going through midlife crisis, and they decide that they want to remake one of their favorite movies, Anaconda, and they go to the Amazon rainforest to remake it, and then they encounter an actual anaconda snake. And I thought this movie was fine. I thought it was a pretty fun experience. I think it's a fun family movie, like especially for the holiday season. I think it works pretty well. And like the people in my theater were fucking loving it. Like they were laughing a lot, which I was happy to hear. Like it's great to see people just enjoying movies, and I always love that. The humor didn't work for me all the way. It was kind of basic, generic humor, and it was like, it's fine. Steve Zahn is really funny in the movie. He's just kind of an alcoholic and also just taking a lot of drugs, and I'm like, that's funny. That's cool.
That's okay.
I like that. But I think there's like a subplot in this movie with Daniela Melchior, and like she's kind of in this like gold mining scheme, and then there's people hunting after her. It's this weird little subplot that I think could either be eliminated completely or trimmed down, because I just really liked when it was the friends that were making a movie and out in the jungle. I like that aspect a lot. But when it was on focus on that stuff, I didn't really care about. And they kind of, like, they do that thing where they reference it in the movie that the subplot doesn't really matter or, like, isn't that important. But it's also like, no, it's still a subplot in the movie that I don't care about. So, like, saying that doesn't excuse it, really. But, like, I can't deny that, like, I had a fun time with this cast. Like, Jack Black and Paul Rudd, especially as the leads, they're fun to see together. They're two comedy legends from, just us growing up, for sure. And seeing them just wanting to remake Anaconda was, like, a fun concept, a fun idea, and just about the filmmaking process was pretty cool, too. So it's a nice little companion piece. There is there's a sort of mid-credits... There's, like, two kind of mid-credit scenes, I'll say. One of them is kind of fun, and you see... I won't spoil anything, but you see some characters coming back in there. So, it's a fun enough time. I think it's an enjoyable holiday watch-through. If you like the original Anaconda and you want to see this sort of weird companion piece to it, I think it's fun. It was nice doing a little rewatch or a watch-through of both of these this week.
Yeah, I'm happy that you got to see Anaconda, because, like, it's a movie that's kind of always been a guilty pleasure for me, which I try not to use the term guilty pleasure, because, like, if it's something you like, don't feel bad about it. But this was, like, the Sci-Fi Channel movie. It was always on, I feel like. And I really grew to love this movie. Jon Voight is ridiculous in the original Anaconda. But, like, Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez, like, it's a good cast. And it's, like you said, it is a pretty well, like, you can't say, like, if you said a movie was bad nowadays, like, Red One, bad movie. It's bad, and there's not, like, a lot of redeemable, like, well, at least it was shot on location. No, it wasn't.
Right.
Whereas you look at Anaconda, where it's like, yeah, it's not, like, a good movie, but, like, there's so many, like, admirable aspects to that, whether it is the practical effects, whether it's the fact that they shot on location, or it's the great cast with it. So I'm happy you watched that. I always have really enjoyed that movie. I haven't seen this new 2025 one, which I just looked up is supposedly the 6th installment in the Anaconda series, which is bananas. Do they make any mention to the sequels to Anaconda in this film?
Not that I like. Okay. They don't outright say it, and I was looking into that because I'm very known for watching all the movies in a franchise.
You dropped the ball on the Anaconda.
I was like, I didn't know that there was a lot of sequels to it.
I didn't know it was fucking 5 before this one.
Like, yeah, there's 2, 3, and 4, and then there's like Lake Placid versus Anaconda or something.
Okay. Interesting.
And like, I don't know, this year after doing like the Toxic Avenger watch through, I'm like, with B-rate movies, I'm gonna watch like the original that's like either the cult classic. I don't need to watch the sequels. I'm glad I just watched the original.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that there was that many sequels. Yeah. But again, it makes sense. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm sure a lot of those were straight to DVD, straight to TV bullshit. But I am still, even like with the kind of middling and negative reaction that I've seen online with this Anaconda, I'm still like excited to see this cast, and I like the premise enough. The subplot, which you highlighted, I didn't know anything about, and I'm like, I don't know if this movie needs a subplot. Just give me 4 friends making a movie that they want to make a sequel to, or I don't know. So I will probably try and check this out in theaters in the coming weeks, but I'm happy you saw it just because I feel like your response to it has made me more interested now in seeing it, knowing kind of what the overall audience response has been to the movie. So I'm a little bit more excited now.
Mm-hmm. The other and last movie I checked out in theaters this week was The Secret Agent. You talked about it, I think, 2 weeks ago, and it's since got nominated for Best Drama at the Golden Globes, a lot of other awards. It's going to be in the Oscar talk, so it was kind of running its last days in theaters. I'm like, all right, I got to check this one out, and I'm glad I did, because I think this movie is very good. I think that technically everything looks great. You talked about the 1970s look of the movie, and it does it in a very effortless way where it's like, we'll talk about Stranger Things in a second here, but with Stranger Things, it's very much like, this is the 80s. Here's the Gatorade bottles and the fucking Dunkaroos or whatever. Like, it's showing you all that. But with The Secret Agent, it's more of the filmmaking of that era and, like, the swipes, like you mentioned, or just the kind of grain of it and the feel of how, like, 70s movies were paced. So it more dives into that of feeling like, wow, this is a movie from the 70s, it feels like. So that's honestly one of the biggest praises I can give to this movie. The other one is Wagner Moura, who I've really liked seeing pop up and stuff the last few years. I think he's really good, and he's really strong as the lead character in this movie. He's this technology expert that's kind of fleeing his past and returns to his hometown of Recife, and he's kind of being tracked by some people as he's seeking refuge, and he's staying in a place with other people that are also kind of seeking refuge as well. And it was really interesting just to kind of be in this time and place with these characters. It's not really like I don't know, it's an interesting movie because it's not really fast-paced at all. It's not like you hear The Secret Agent and you think like spy movie or action movie. It's not that at all, so don't go into that thinking of that. But it's just kind of like this exploration, and it really, over time, you learn more about why he was fleeing this place and why he is being tracked by these people. It's kind of like it was just an accident in a way, where you learn more as the movie goes along. It doesn't reveal it, and that's honestly, I think, something that a lot of international movies do really well, that U.S. movies could take note from and not
more
spoon feed you everything. Be like, this is why they're doing this. It's like, maybe 45 minutes in, I still don't know why he's on the run, and that's okay. Again, that's just another praise of kind of the filmmaking there, and a really good supporting cast. I want to shout out Tanya Maria. She is the older woman that is kind of housing all of these refugees of sorts.
Almost like a grandmother character in this movie.
She's great.
Awesome in this movie.
I absolutely loved her here. Udo Kier, I know he passed away recently. He was really good in the movie as well, in a very small supporting role. So this is one that I, like, on every level, like, I think it's really good. I think that the ending is intentionally anticlimactic. It's not. It's kind of building up to something of the people closing in on him and racing through the streets, and then it cuts away, and we do a flash forward, and we see Wagner Moura playing his son in the future, and like it worked for me, and I thought it was good, but it's not like the ending you expect, really.
No.
And like I think that it works for the movie. I think it makes sense. So it's one that I really enjoyed, but again, like movies this kind of award season with Hamnet and Sentimental Value, it's not one that, like, personally I was like, ooh, I love this movie and I connected with, but on every level, like, it's good. I don't really have issues with it, so I can't, like, say anything bad about the movie. I recommend it. I just don't, for me personally, it wasn't like a top 10 movie of the year.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. It's kind of weird because this movie is kind of looked at, or like I feel like the genre it falls into is that of being a thriller, but it's like you said, it's not like a fast pace. It very well takes its time, and it allows you to get connected with a lot of these characters and this ensemble, and kind of just feel out some of the story elements as to, like, why is this character on the run? Did they do anything bad? Who's after them? Where are they coming from? This movie kind of reminds me of a movie from 2011 that I really like. Which also, if you were to look it up, is marketed or was marketed as a crime thriller or thriller mystery with George Clooney, and that's The American. It's a movie that I remember renting on Blockbuster when Blockbuster was still around and checking out, because I was like, oh, this is going to be such a great action movie, and I saw it when I was 11, so I didn't like it. I was like, this movie is really fucking boring and slow moving, and it feels very much like a foreign film, at least foreign to the United States. But it's a movie that over time, as I've watched it more and more, I've really come to appreciate. And it has that kind of 70s, like, we're just going to slowly feel out the story. And just kind of, like, things will come up when they need to. We're not going to over-explain or spoon-feed anything to you. And it's another movie similar to The Secret Agent that is, like, so well crafted. I don't have negatives. I enjoyed watching it, but it's not like one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm happy you saw The Secret Agent. I'm not surprised that we overall really agree on a lot of the kind of sentiment around it of the filmmaking and stuff. I loved Wagner Moura in this. I haven't seen him, I think, in a lot. At least him as a leading man, I haven't seen a lot. So I'm excited to see him hopefully pop up more down the line. But yeah, it's a good movie. I'm happy to still see it kind of in awards contention, even if it's not one of my favorite movies of this past year. I was up in northern Minnesota in Cross Lake. I was only able to see Marty Supreme in theaters this past week, so I kind of dropped the ball there. I'm going to try and hopefully pick it up a little bit going into January and just try and go and see some more movies that maybe I'm not that excited for, but I just want to spend more time in the theater this upcoming week. But while I was up north, my in-laws have a awesome movie theater screening room. So anytime I'm going up there, I always try and prep for the trip. For like, all right, what movies have I seen or have I not seen that are going to be a visual spectacle that I can put on this projector and just have a heyday with? And one of those movies that I knew early from the get-go, before Christmas really was in conversation where we were going, is I wanted to watch the movie The Searchers up at my in-laws' house on their big projector just because I was like, I've never seen The Searchers, the 1956 Western directed by John Ford. I've never seen it before. I've seen Stagecoach. I like John Ford. I like Westerns. And even earlier this year, I watched Shane up at their house, and that is immediately one of my favorite Westerns I've ever seen. And Searchers is always in that conversation for being one of the classics. Like I said, it's from John Ford, Stagecoach, director of The Grapes of Wrath. It's a John Wayne film with Jeffrey Hunter, Vera Miles, Ward Bond, and Henry Brandon playing the heavy in it. It's a movie about an American Civil War veteran, which, interestingly enough, he's from the South, so he's like from the Confederacy. So I'm like, how you gonna?
That's your family's region,
stop
right?
Stop that. I'm from Minnesota. I was born in Robbinsdale, Minnesota.
Your ancestors, though, they were.
No. No. But anyway, it was just so interesting to see a character immediately introduced wearing a Confederate jacket, and that's our hero or our anti-hero that we're going to follow. Played by John Wayne, he plays a man named Ethan, which, again, Ethan doesn't feel like the most, like, classic Western hero name, so I was like, interesting choices. But this veteran embarks on a years-long journey to rescue his niece from this Comanche tribe after the rest of his brother's family had been massacred by them. Two of his nieces are the last living family members that he knows of that he's on the hunt for this tribe to try and find and track down. And it's a 2-hour-long Western, which I feel like Westerns have a tendency to run long or feel long because they're a little bit sometimes slower moving. This movie is perfectly paced. It is awesome to look at, and I'm happy that I watched it up on a massive projector screen. It's a John Wayne movie, so he has his John Wayne isms. He's kind of a hard ass. He has some borderline abrasive ass lines and some stuff that's kind of racist. This was made in the 50s.
Hell yeah.
The one thing I was actually genuinely surprised of, just based on the era in which this movie was made, they have a lot of Native American tribes referenced in this movie, and some of those cast members are Native American. And I was like, whoa, look at you guys. Granted, the main heavy, played by Henry Brandon, who plays a chief of this Comanche tribe named Scar, which felt very unoriginal. He is not Native American. I'm pretty sure he's German. And it's very clearly just a white man painted a little darker. And it's just like, you have to watch certain older films through a lens of like, of the time, this is what it was. Like, it's fine. Well, it's not fine, but they were able to do it then. Watching it works. Once you kind of get past that of like, oh, that's not the best. That's not consistently a good decision to make in a movie, but all right. Aside from that, the aspects that kind of maybe date this movie, I completely get why this is in the conversation for some of the best Westerns ever made. This is immediately my favorite John Wayne movie. This and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance that he co-stars alongside Jimmy Stewart, those two movies for me that is John Wayne. Also Stagecoach, but those two movies specifically are John Wayne to me. It takes its time. There's a lot of good humor. I didn't know that this was a sprawling kind of voyage of these two characters looking for Ethan's niece in this movie. I didn't know it was gonna sprawl over 10 years, and it does so in a very casual, like, kind of nods to like, oh yeah, time has passed. These characters are aging. Things are changing. And it kind of reminded me of True Grit a little bit, of just like the time passage of on this voyage, either hunting down someone or in the search to save someone. I really loved this movie, and I was really surprised by how much I ended up liking it. I feel like going back and watching movies from a different era or a different time period, it kind of sets us up to be like, oh yeah, I really appreciate it. It's a good movie, but I don't love it. This movie I loved, and I can't wait to rewatch it. Same with Shane from earlier this year when I watched that. I'm like, wow, I fucking love Westerns. It is a nearly dead genre. We don't get a lot of Westerns anymore, which is really sad to say because it's usually, to me, some of the most beautiful filmmaking. This movie looks fantastic. There's something so perfect about a matte painting in either a Western or just a sprawling epic that you get where it's just like, oh, like does it stand out a little bit? Is it not 100% real? Yeah, but it just works because like all the effort that went into that. Like there's aspects of this that are so easily admirable and lovable, and it again, John Wayne playing a man named Ethan, and he's one of my favorite Western anti-hero icons that I've ever seen. So I don't know if you've seen The Searchers. I would definitely recommend it. I think if you were to run back and do another Alphabet rewatch, I would definitely add The Searchers to that S category and check that one out.
I've seen a few shots from this in film classes in college, especially the final shot of the movie, John Wayne in a doorway with the black bars on the side. It's a beautiful shot. I haven't seen the movie in full, though, but I do love Stagecoach, also from John Ford. That's probably my favorite John Wayne that I've seen. But, yeah, this is definitely one that I need to check out in the future.
It's a beautiful ending, and it's the beginning, the way the film opens, it bookends similar in the way it opens. It's a doorway, the way it's framed on screen. It's so well done. It's such a tightly well-made Western. It's so good. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Westerns. Like I said, we don't really get a lot of modern Westerns, sadly. Another film that I wanted to watch like a Star Wars movie at my in-laws, just because I love kind of that era of like the 70s, 80s sci-fi, and give me a big battle in space. Give me a starship going up against some enemy, some rebel or whatever. I decided that I didn't want to watch Star Wars just because me, personally, I have a tendency that I rather would watch a movie I had never seen than rewatch a movie I have seen, especially with Star Wars I've seen so many fucking times. But I haven't seen a lot of the original run of the Star Trek movies. I've seen Wrath of Khan, I've seen Motion Picture, and that was, I think, just about it. Wrath of Khan is a sci-fi classic, and I love that movie. So I did a quick Google, and I found, like, all right, consensus-wise, what are some of the best Star Trek movies of that original run? And Undiscovered Country from 1991 was typically one towards the top of that list. It is the last film with the original cast, or at least the majority of the original cast. I know William Shatner comes back, I think, in Generations with Jean-Luc Picard, played by Patrick Stewart, and they have some character dynamics there. But this is the last of the full original cast. This is directed by Nicholas Meyer, who also did direct Wrath of Khan. This does have more of like more action than I would necessarily associate with a Star Trek movie. Like I said, it stars William Shatner. You got Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, who is magnificent as McCoy, as Bones, and I after seeing more of the original run and seeing more of DeForest Kelley as Bones or as McCoy, I get why Carl Urban is that character. Like, they've so perfectly matched that casting for me. You got James Doohan as Scotty, George Takei, and Kim Cattrall in this film. This is a movie that's on the eve of retirement for Kirk McCoy, his entire band for the USS Enterprise. They are charged with assassinating the Klingon High Chancellor and imprisoned due to their kind of implications with this assassination, or what they're being accused of. And the Enterprise crew must help them escape to thwart a conspiracy aimed at sabotaging the last best hope for peace among the galaxy. So, like I said, I'd only really seen Wrath of Khan was the furthest I ever went into this franchise. I went into Undiscovered Country only knowing Wrath of Khan and what that movie leaves off, where that leaves off. This feels like a nice, easy movie to just like put on and watch. I didn't need a whole lot of background information as to who a lot of these characters were. Granted, like, if you know some of the characters of Star Trek and some of that main cast, it kind of works better. But I was really surprised by how easy I was able to just drop into this story and get like taken away, swept away with the story of it and the characters. The effects in this movie are great, and it holds up really well. Granted, it was made in the early 90s, but like still, like, I was so surprised. I've seen Star Trek the motion picture, the original motion picture, a bore of a fucking movie. And it doesn't always look great, but there is something kind of magnificent about seeing the USS Enterprise on screen for the first time. It still I was awestruck watching the USS Enterprise fly throughout the movie and seeing more of that Klingon presence within this movie. And I believe, what's his name? Christopher Plummer. From Knives Out. But also, he is one of the main Klingon mercenaries within this movie, and he is so great. I loved this movie so much that I went on, and we'll talk about it in our physical media roundup. I bought a lot of Star Trek movies over the past couple of days, and I'm really excited to kind of dive deeper into this, because this movie was such a fun ride. Wrath of Khan is my favorite Star Trek movie. I've seen the 3 of the Kelvin timeline. I've seen original motion picture and Wrath of Khan. And Wrath of Khan is far and away my favorite. This movie, it gets there. It's on that same playing field. It's not as good as Wrath of Khan, but it's in that conversation. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this film. It was nominated for 2 Oscars at the 92 Academy Awards, one for Best Makeup and Best Effects/Effects Editing. There were just nominations there. They didn't win, but I completely get the nomination. Just the movie looks great still today. And I got it on a saucy little 4K Blu-ray release of it that I'm really stoked about, so I'm happy to own that movie and add it to my collection. It was a great watch. I know you have like the full collection of the Star Trek movies. Have you watched all of them?
I have not. I've seen, like a couple of years ago on Black Friday, I got like all the original movies and then the Generations movies. I've only seen the original 3 movies. I watched with my dad back in the day. And I like them. I really enjoy them. I just didn't keep up with them, and then I've seen the new 3, like you mentioned. I do enjoy those a lot. And yeah, this is one I've heard is really good. And I am kind of waiting for a new Star Trek movie to be announced and then do a watch through and just like from beginning to end, like just the movies, not all the shows. I don't have time for that. Maybe someday I will. But I enjoy Star Trek. It is kind of the more contemplative, thought-provoking. Most of the times, Star Trek Beyond is, Sabotage starts playing and you're like, all right, fuck, this is an action movie.
Now this is awesome.
But fucking cool though. So I'm excited to eventually watch through all those movies. Into like a little bit of a Christmas roundup. We mentioned Christmas was a couple days ago. When I was at work the other day, Home Alone was on, so I was catching bits and pieces of that. It wasn't very busy, so I was able to just kind of watch that. Like I said last week, it's my favorite Christmas movie. I think it just encapsulates the season. The score by John Williams is so good. I love it. Harry and Marv are just 2 of my favorite bumbling idiots. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are great. And Catherine O'Hara is so good in the movie. Obviously, Macaulay Culkin's great. I love to see him just kind of on a comeback a little bit, or at least just like in the public eye a bit more. But it makes me happy every time I watch it. I think it's genuinely hilarious. Like, the movie just has so many lines that are great. All of his siblings in the movie Buzz especially is maybe my favorite character in the movie. I fucking love him so much.
Buzz's girlfriend. Woof! That and you're what the French call les incompetents. Yeah. That's the one I say the most. Like, that is the line that always sticks with me. I love Home Alone. And that's the movie, like, I've had to go to bat for that movie more so than most Christmas movies with my family. I'm like, I'll always, like, that's such a fun conversation. Oh, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And my family, it typically is like the Christmas Vacation route. No one puts any respect on Home Alone or what that franchise has done or how great, especially that first film is. And I always have to go to bat. I'm like, you don't think the Wet Bandits are fucking iconic? Like, there are so many aspects about this movie that are so perfect. And, like, John Candy, for, like, the 15 minutes that he's in the movie, and he steals every scene. Home Alone is a sensational movie. And I still think it could take place at any time of the year, but it is obviously a Christmas movie, whereas Die Hard is maybe a little bit less obvious. But I really love Home Alone.
I want to mention one other line that I just had forgotten about, but is so funny from the movie. When Catherine O'Hara calls back to the police station and is like, hey, can you go, like, check on my kid? Like, we left and he's home alone. And then the lady there is, like, transferring him over to the police chief or whoever. She's like, yeah, I got a lady on line 1. Sounds pretty hyper.
Just undercuts all of it, but it's so realistic. Like, all right.
Kid's home. Sounds pretty hyper.
If you ever had to transfer a phone call, you're definitely giving your coworker, like, a heads up as to, like, all right, prepare yourself.
Hey, crazy on the line here. Yeah.
Be careful. The Christmas movie that I necessarily wasn't the most excited to watch. I'm never excited to watch this movie. But it's always on, and I felt a little homesick, so I was like, you know what? It's kind of nostalgic because TBS would play this movie for fucking 24 hours straight back in the day. So I sat down and watched A Christmas Story from 1983, which it always shocks me that movie was made in 1983 because I think, again, this is another movie that really sells the time period in which it is set. Like, this movie could have been made in the 50s or the 40s, and I would have believed it. It's starring Peter Billingsley, Melinda Dillon, Darren McGavin, and Scott Schwartz. It's directed by Bob Clark, who also made Black Christmas, which is a better Christmas movie. I love that movie. I'm not going to go over the plot of this. It's Ralphie wanting, like, Christmas is coming. Ralphie wants a Red Riding Hood fucking airsoft BB gun, whatever. He's going to shoot his eye out. Santa's a dickhead. This movie is so, I think, specific to there's a specific generation. Like, it plays to a specific generation of people that grew up in the United States that, like, I get why the older generation, like, anytime I bring up A Christmas Story and that I don't typically, like, love this movie, when I say that to my mom or to, like, my grandmother, like, Christmas Story is fantastic. It's a classic. And I don't know why, but on this rewatch, or kind of every subsequent rewatch I've had of this movie in the past couple of years, it started to kind of like seep into like, not that I get it, because I've seen this movie so many times. I feel like if there's anything to get, I got it a long time ago and decided I didn't like it. But I've started to appreciate it more and more. And it is, I think, regardless of if this was intentional or not, this movie has become nostalgic to me just because of the role it's played around this time of the year for me. I will say A Christmas Story Christmas is a pretty great sequel. I think it's on HBO Max. I would check that out, especially if you like A Christmas Story. As someone who didn't really care much for A Christmas Story when they were younger, I love A Christmas Story Christmas. And on a rewatch, this movie's pretty solid. There's, like, the visual feel of this movie I love. The character's great on me. Sometimes it's goofy, sometimes it's charming. Then you have the bully that has, like, just small eyes, and he has red hair and wears a raccoon skin hat, and I'm like, I want you to die on screen for real. So there's aspects to this movie that are obviously iconic. It really felt nostalgic to me, and I needed to watch this, especially when I was up at my in-laws. I wasn't with a lot of my family for Christmas, so this was a good kind of, even though I don't love this movie, a good little nostalgic trip to something a little bit more familiar. So I'm beginning to appreciate this movie, even though I still don't love it.
I think I've had almost like the reverse of what you were saying, where I watched it as a kid, and like when I saw it when I was 7 or 8 years old, whatever, I was like, oh, this is a cool movie. Like, and I do agree. I think it has like that the vibe of a Christmas movie. I think this is maybe done the best in this movie, where it's like the 80s feel like a time where I wish I could be in a Christmas in the 80s or something like that. But I just like, and maybe it's just over time where like that's the only thing playing on TV all day, like a part of being like in my teenage years and just being like, oh, that's the fucking only Christmas. There's more Christmas movies than this. Like, there's better ones. I think I've liked it less over time. Not that it's bad. It's just like, I just don't care as much. Yeah. I think it's fine. But like, I understand, like you said, I understand why generations love this movie. It is a very iconic movie for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll end up watching it again, whether it's my own decision or against my will because it's on TV or something. But I'll probably sit down and watch this movie many, many more times, even though I still don't love it. And I've seen A Christmas Story more than I've seen my favorite Christmas movie of all time, which is It's a Wonderful Life. Oof. Which is saying something. Like Christmas Story is very nostalgic, even though I don't love it. It's a Wonderful Life is a perfect movie, not only Christmas, but I haven't watched that this year. I might try and sneak it in before New Year's, but A Christmas Story was, weirdly enough, my Christmas watch for this year, and it was largely okay. But the big thing that I think, aside from Marty Supreme, that came out this past week, was it on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve?
Christmas Day, yeah.
I didn't get to it until December 26th when I had time for it, but Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2, we got episodes 5, 6, and 7 that came out. This is leading into that big finale drop that's coming on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, one of the fucking... They're the same day to me, doesn't matter. But these are the 3 episodes that we've had to kind of build up and connect from those first 4 episodes into what's to come in that last 2-hour finale. I think when we talked about it last, I kind of went on a little bit of a tear. Like, this show frustrates the living hell out of me. I like a good amount of the characters, but it still pisses me off. Largely still the same sentiment I have about this show, except now I'm like, I want a lot of these characters to die because there's far too many of them. Aside from that, Corey, what were your kind of big takeaways? We can go episode by episode if you want. I don't know if I can really break it down that way, but are there any big positives or any big glaring negatives to you on these last 3 episodes that we got leading into the finale?
Yeah, want to put out a blanket spoiler warning. Kind of feel like we did that last time too. Oh, yeah. So I feel like everybody who's wanted to watch Stranger Things has watched it. Yeah. So spoiler warning if you haven't seen this next batch of episodes 5 through 7 here. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I feel very similar to those first 4 episodes of season 5 that we talked about, where like there's a lot of things happening, but it also, we kind of are just back at the same spot where like we're leading in the finale. I agree. It's almost comical how many characters there are. There's like groups of just, not even joking, 20 characters like in a semicircle listening to one person talk.
Yeah, Will, tell us about it.
Yeah, that's a
How
big...
you feeling, Will Byers?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, you don't? Which, okay, not to make too much light of that scene, but I actually don't hate, as someone who's been really annoyed by the dialogue and the writing of this, especially this season, but the show overall, in that scene, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't hate the the way they went about bringing that up, where he's like, I like the same things as you, and how they built to that kind of end of the conversation where he's like, I just don't like girls. That line, that line feels a little like childish and immature and just kind of funny. Of like, I just don't like girls. I just like the build up of like, I like the same things as you. I'm just a little different. I was like, that's kind of moving, even though like that last punch line of I just don't like girls. It's like, okay. Also, like, Will, I'm sorry that you feel that you need to tell everyone this right now because you're worried about them finding out down the line when Vecna maybe infects your mind and they'll learn your secrets. But also, this right now doesn't fucking matter. You can table it for later. We got the end of the world looming on us.
Yep.
I don't think you need to come out of the closet right now, buddy. It's fine. Like, I'm glad you did. Glad you got your one character arc off your chest and shared it with us. But, like, we could fucking... This isn't the most necessary right now.
No, that's a common theme of these things where, like, there's an impending thing that characters need to do, and they're like, what if we had a dialogue scene for 10 minutes here?
Big thing.
Also, I was telling you, like, Dan Merle's review of the movie, he talked about the scene. He was like, it would have been so funny if, like, he starts off Will talking to Joyce, his mom, and being like, telling her, it's like, okay, that makes sense, like, it's his mom. And then Mike comes in, which has been, like, a big thing, Will and Mike. It's like, okay. He comes into, and if it would have just kept doing one character at a time as he's trying to get through.
Yeah, you can
if, like, Jonathan comes in, like, okay, his brother, and then it's like, all right, Lucas and Dustin are here. But, like, they...
Oh, Robin's girlfriend? You can come in.
Yeah, sure. Oh, the teacher? Fuck it. Who cares? It's, I don't know. I was just kind of, I don't know. My favorite part of that scene, I guess I'll say, is Jonathan's reaction to it. I thought Charlie Heaton had, like, actually gave a really good performance there.
It threw me off because, again, there's a large gap in between these seasons, and the first half of the season was me trying to remember everyone's fucking name. That entire scene, I was like, why is he reacting so hard right now? I was like, oh yeah, they're brothers.
It's tough to remember.
The entire time I was like, you guys are related. That makes sense now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the bigger things that happens here. Speaking of Jonathan, actually one of my favorite scenes from this new batch episodes, I think it was in the sixth episode, where him and Nancy are trapped in this room with this... They keep adding shit. It's like exotic matter that Nancy shoots with a shotgun, and then it has this wave, and I guess this has been powering... But I guess Vecna didn't make it. I guess scientists made it, and it powers... What does it do? What the fuck does it do? I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. Who gives a fuck?
I don't know.
It doesn't fucking matter. It's something with the upside down. But anyways, him and Jonathan and Nancy, I actually really like the way they go into the scene where they're like, they get knocked unconscious and then they are like floating through the floor and like this goo ooze is kind of going through. I like the visual look of it. It's kind of cool. And they're trying to get out of the room, and they kind of have this whole conversation about they just keep going through things they dislike about each other. Like, they've been dating for a while, they've had issues, and they're like, I don't like the music you like you show up 6 minutes late and it really fucking bothers me. Just little things within a relationship that build up and kind of come to a head here. And Jonathan has had a ring for a while. Murray got him for him in the music tape. And it's kind of this unproposal scene, which I actually really like. I dug the scene, and when I was watching it, like, I did take it as kind of a breakup scene when I was watching it. I was like, okay, they're realizing that they're not right for each other, but they're always going to be bonded by this trauma of the upside down and their siblings and all that. So that was honestly my favorite portion of this episode. I just thought it was a nice quiet moment, and like aside from just the visual part of it, I thought the performances were good. So I enjoyed that, and then I think we'll get into the negative of this other scene, but the Max and Holly subplot in Vecna's mind, this kind of dream world where they're trying to find these portals to get through. I'm actually really I like it's like seeing Henry's little backstory of him in the cave with the scientist with a briefcase. I'm like, what's going on? What's the briefcase? Yeah. Like, that's an interesting, like, I want to see that in the finale.
I feel like that might be the jumping off point for the finale, is to kind of really sow that seed of, like, what was going on down there? Why is that Henry's, like, most hidden, scared thought? Like, why is that the thing that is, like, his kryptonite, basically? Yeah,
I'm curious to see that. So that's some good intrigue built up. But I like the dialogue exchange between Max and Holly, where Holly's been like, I didn't jump in and save my mom. I didn't jump in and save you, Max, when you were captured. Like, I'm just a kid. I can't do anything. And Max was like, you've done so much. Like, you got me here when I had kind of given up hope, and like this whole speech. But also, it's in a time when
it's like a rough timing.
These portals are open, and like Max has experienced these portals not being open for long.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Fuck, we need to get through there as soon as possible to get back to the real world."
But first,
let's have a 10-minute talk. I'm like, oh, I love the content of this, but not when it's happening right now.
That entire conversation, I was like, "Fucking run, Max!" Like,
yeah.
Because like Sadie Sink Max, that is one of the characters I actually really like in this show.
Yeah.
I will say Max is kind of where she's been left in this almost otherworld little hillside mountainscape away from Henry in this kind of dystopian world where all these kids are being brought. I hate that entire plot development. Like, I hate that plot line. Every time it cuts back to Max and Holly, I'm so disinterested. I'm just like, just get Max back. I don't give a shit about anything with that. I don't find Holly interesting at all. Like, it's just another, all right, who do we need to go save? Oh, it's not Will. Oh, well, let's get another young child and throw him in there. Oh, Vecna wants him. Let's go save him. Like, it feels repetitive. It feels monotonous. And I don't give a shit about Holly or the 11 other kids, except for maybe Derek. Derek's kind of funny.
Derek, man.
Dipshit Derek, when he just suck a fat one. Like, that line exchange between him and Robin. Robin's like, Jesus! Like, it's still funny to me.
Yeah.
I saw that clip pop back up on my phone. I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Dipshit Derek. But everyone else, I'm just like, I don't care. And, like, that scene gets also really crazy when Henry is like, hey, Max is trying to seed doubt into Holly, or sow these seeds of doubt into Holly, and Max is this monster, and we need to convince Holly that we're doing something right. And then all these kids that are Holly, like some of Holly's best friends, are like going to her and are like, you don't believe in this, or you're against us, and they just go in this brawl and basically almost strangle Holly with. I was like, you guys were like 11.
Like, one calls her a bitch.
Shit. Yeah, I was like, that's.
Oh!
I was like, whoa,
you're like 8, dude.
Oh my god,
what the fuck?
I was like, this is a very adult fight right now for all these like 9-year-olds, right? So that threw me off. I think this show consistently proves that there are way too many fucking characters, and that the Duffer Brothers are so against killing off some of the main group, which I want them to, and I want this show to end with some, oh shit, it hit the fan, we lost Elle, or we lost Will, or we lost Mike. Like, you need to start giving me something that is like, alright, this was the end game, this was the end all be all, we lost people in this. Maybe kill off all 11 of those kids. Maybe even throw Holly into the mix. They can all die. I don't care. I love kids. I just don't care for these kids. I saw a video of it, like of a fan reacting to Stranger Things, at least this season specifically, of how Stranger Things characters stumble onto shit. And especially in episode 7, I noticed it pop up at least twice. And it's like a normal person would be like, oh, Colt 45 is empty. It's empty. Fuck, I should get another Colt 45. Stranger Things character, Colt 45 is empty. Guys, that's it! That's it! Colt 45! Colt 45 this entire time! It's empty! Like, oh my god, every fucking time they just stumble, through words, they just fumble fucking explanation to solve every issue they're having. And it happens in episode 7 when the teacher with their radio transmission bullshit that they're doing with balloons, and he's like, Murray's like, you just gotta cut loose a little bit, and the guy's like, that's it! Cut loose! Cut him loose! Oh my god, really? That's what we're fucking doing every 5 minutes in this show? And then you get it later on when they're like, yeah, we need like a magic bean of some sorts. And then Steve's like, beans! Magic beanstalk! We got our own beanstalk! We don't need... Guys, I got it! And it just steamrolls into the same formulaic bullshit of like, guys, I have a plan. Everyone gather around me while I explain it at a table with a fucking flashlight and a slinky. Guys, you're gonna love it. And then we get that with Robin with a vinyl, and it's just like, god fucking damn it! This show has no original thoughts. It's just D&D 80s fucking nostalgic porn, just throwing that all into a mixer and like, let's get the Amblin Entertainment feel. Let's get that in here. Let's get way too many fucking characters. Let's have subplots about a character being gay because that's his only overarching story about him, because otherwise he's a victim all of his life. But oh, now he's gay, so now he's important? Fuck that. This entire show, oh my god, I'm a fan of this show, and I'm so eagerly awaiting this finale, but it pisses me off. It's so fucking lazy in everything it sets out to do. I will say the creature design of Vecna, cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is week 2 of 3 of Mason rant on Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is not a good show. And if you think if you think it's a well-made show, like seamlessly well-made, I think you're 8 years old or dumber. Like, I think you need to go back to school. Or watch something that's actually competently, fully thought through and made. There's this whole argument that the Duffer Brothers are like, oh yeah, we've had this thought of where this finale was going to go for all this time, for the last 10 years. I'm like, fuck no, you haven't. This is bullshit. This is like, and that's no issue if this is something that you guys came up with 2 years ago. If it's good, it's still good. If it's bad and you guys had this idea for 10 years and it's still bad, then you're really dumb. Because you thought, and you stuck with that same consistent thought of like this bad idea, and we're like, yeah, that's just how we're going to clean it up. If Elle doesn't die because Millie Bobby Bon Jovi, whatever the fuck her name, can't act, and she got Botox up the ass and lip filler in, she can't express at all. She's not afraid or scared of anything. Why is Kali here, number 8? She doesn't do anything except be really short in the background of most scenes, and then she feeds 11 with some kind of pessimistic imagery, and then Hopper's like, I'm going to kill this kid. And I'm like, yes, Hopper! Best idea yet! Shoot her! So I don't like the show, but I'm going to watch it. And I think that I not to be like, I'm really cool for liking the show, or watching all the show and still hating it, but I'm going to give myself a good pat on the back and maybe a stiff drink once the show's done for like, you got through all 5 seasons of a show that you borderline at most kind of liked. I'm sweaty. There's
a big rant from the Mason man. He is sweating. Wow. Okay, a few final thoughts on Stranger Things season 5.
I'm gonna hijack everything.
Volume 2. I will say, like, whether the Duffer Brothers how far they thought out everything, how far they've planned. I don't mind the idea of the Upside Down being this sort of wormhole connecting bridge between another world and Earth.
Don't mind that.
I think that's fine. Like, as a thing, in some things I'd be like, that feels like you didn't know what the fuck you're doing. This, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, that Upside Down's been a weird place always. Like, that's cool with me. So the fact that, like, the final battle is them trying to stop another world that Vecna's taken in, I don't mind that as a final going into the finale. But I do agree that, like, the show struggles with this repetition of a character builds out a plan, they're drawing on a window, they're setting out things, they're taking out vinyls, they're doing this thing to explain it, they go through with the plan doesn't really work, but they get a small little victory that they figure out something, they use that to go into the next plan, and then the rinse and repeat. We talked about in the first 4 episodes that it is getting a bit tired. It's like, I'm glad that this is the last season because I just don't think I could take another season of it. But there's just, I wish it was more focused and less characters because Kali, or 8 as you mentioned, I really don't care about her. And I had hope coming out of the initial batch where I'm like, okay, you took something that everybody hated from season 2, and you're like, what if we try and redeem that a bit? And at least at this point, I don't want to speak entirely because we haven't seen the finale, but I still don't care about that character. She's just in the background and just kind of, you're like, okay, she's probably bad or gonna do some weird shit,
or she'll make a sacrifice that Elle doesn't have to, and that will be the reason why Elle lives is because number 8 stepped in, and it's like, well, then I'd rather Elle do that, the character that I've spent all this time with. I'd rather her make the game time big decision, make that sacrifice, if that's how this goes. I feel like they're gonna use this somewhat superfluous character in a very pivotal moment to justify them now being here. It's like, this character's been here for 4 episodes, will be 4 episodes once the finale airs, and it's just like, you haven't proven to me that this character needs to be here. It just feels like an unadded subplot. So I'm like, I'm getting worried about what their main goal or aspiration is with bringing this character back. Because I was kind of like, oh, hey, you're going to bring this character back, a character I don't like. Cool. Are you going to kind of almost Thor the Dark World with Endgame? Like, are you going to rehabilitate this part or this character? No, haven't yet. So remains to be seen, and I'm very skeptical of the inclusion at all.
They also and this has been a common theme throughout all 5 seasons of Stranger Things, they don't care about Ted Wheeler. They don't give a fuck about the dad. And it's so funny, but also like, fuck, dude. He also tried to save his family, and then like the mom gets a moment where she like blows up the thing, the Demogorgons. Ted's also fucking injured. Where's he?
No one talks about him.
Zero mention in these 3 episodes. I'm like, fuck, dude.
He's just shooting the back 9. Like, he's just golfing again. He's fine.
He's just like in the hospital. It's like, damn, nobody gives a fuck about him. But like I said, we got the finale coming out on New Year's Eve. It is getting a theatrical release. I actually looked at some tickets.
Oh, yeah.
but they were all sold out.
Oh, yeah.
Every single theater I looked at, everything was sold out. That's cool that's happening. I'm glad that Netflix is actually putting it out. I maybe would have gone to see it if I would have found like some decent tickets at a fine time of the day. But
yeah. Allie brought it up to me really late in the game because, like, I think you and I both knew about it when they went on sale that one day. Which I don't even think you. From what I understand with AMC, you don't buy a ticket; you buy like a voucher for concessions, and you get a ticket that way. Like, you're not necessarily buying a ticket in the traditional sense like you would a movie ticket.
I was looking at like Imagine, and they just had like normal.
I think Imagine is doing it normal, but
Okay.
I don't think AMC is, which is weird because I'm like, AMC is the bigger like nationwide theater chain. But Allie brought it up to me on December 26th. She was like, we should get tickets. And I was like, no, not a shot in hell that we have at getting decent tickets. I went through every Showtime with her, and she was like, damn. And I'm like, I didn't know you'd want to go to this. Otherwise, we would have looked at this early. I'm so sorry. But I still think, even if there were tickets available, I would not be seeing this in theaters. It is not justified. The CGI is not great. The effects are not. That's a whole nother rant. But like, it just. I don't understand the money that they've thrown at the series because I'm not seeing it on screen. Whether it's in the writing or the visual look of the show, like it's just, I'm not sold on it. So.
Yeah, be curious to talk about that next week when we talk about the finale. But two shows that I have been a lot more happy with. One of them is Pluribus. The first season just wrapped up. This is on Apple TV Plus. It's from Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He also wrote Hancock. Remember that?
I like that movie. That's weird.
I remember finishing Better Call Saul. I'm like, what else has Vince Gilligan done that I can see? And I watched Hancock. I'm like, okay.
It's the best thing ever. But right?
He also worked on the X-Files, which is a lot more prominent. But
Hancock.
I just remember seeing that in the IMDb. I'm like,
whoa.
I guess I'll watch it because I'm like, it's whatever. But Pluribus is really cool. I talked about I think the first 2 episodes when they came out, and the pilot of this show I think is one of the best pilots I've seen of this decade. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the most intriguing concepts and ideas for a TV show. Again, I don't really want to say much about it. I think it's fun to discover the show as you watch it, and I don't really want to spoil even the basic premise of it really, because I think it's fun to discover that. So it's another really great opening season from Vince Gilligan. I think that this could have sort of the Better Call Saul effect where, I watched all of Better Call Saul leading up to the final season and then watched that as it was releasing. But I think for people that watched that show from the get-go and kind of sat through the first couple seasons, which I love now, in retrospect, but at the time it was it's a lawyer show. It's fine. But when you get to the end of the show, you're like, ooh, that fucking works as an arc. And I think that it could be the same thing here, where this first season, I think the pilot is great, and I think the rest of the show is really good. But I hope that it keeps building and gets better, where you're like, oh, that first season was so much good groundwork and character work and the concept. And I really do have hope for the other seasons, because I think it leaves it at a point that is really funny, just the final moment, but is also really ooh, fuck, let's see what's going to happen here. So I really enjoy it. Ray Seahorn is a great lead in the show. Again, the premise of it is just really cool. And it's gotten awards nominations from Critics' Choice and Golden Globes and all that kind of stuff already. It'll be in the Emmy conversation next year. So I love watching through that. It was a really cool season. The other show that I've been watching through is Fallout Season 2. I fucking love the first season of the show. I remember I didn't play the game the games, but I watched my brother play them as we would be macking on Doritos and Mountain Dew, and I would just watch him, and I remember just the world being so cool, and the storylines. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I don't even want to play necessarily. I just want to watch you go through it. And the first season of the show is one of my favorite seasons of TV of this decade. I think it's really great. I think season 2 continues that. I think that it just has such a good handle on the kind of 60s vibe, and you get a lot of flashbacks to that, especially with the music. There's a whole Fallout playlist on Apple Music, at least, that is incredible. It's got Marty Robbins on there. It's got all kinds of great songs that are just fucking awesome. And Walton Goggins is great in the show. Him and Ella Purnell are kind of teamed up for the season 2, the opening episodes at least. And it's just exploring the wasteland, but then flashing back to how we got to the wasteland. I love the idea of the vaults, too. I think it's so cool of just seeing these people that are so detached from everything else going on. and it's just the action is great. There's an amazing action sequence in the first one with Big Iron playing by Marty Robbins that is so fucking cool. And it's just a really cool show. I really love going into this world. I think that the showrunners and Jonathan Nolan, who is Christopher Nolan's brother, he's a producer on the show. He did great work on Person of Interest, which I think is really underrated. That's a very good show that came out along with like Law and Order and NCIS and Hawaii Five-0 that I think people saw as a cop show, but then it was actually really good and kind of got lost a little bit. So I just like his kind of influence coming in there, I think is really impressive, and I am excited to keep watching through the show. We'll probably just do like a season 1 wrap up week to week. I don't know that there's that much to say, kind of like I did with Pluribus here. So would recommend Fallout. It's really fun. But both shows I think are really, really cool and great TV that's coming out right now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Fallout. I played a little bit of Fallout, I think 3, and a little bit of Fallout 4. And I watched my brother play Fallout New Vegas. Like, I can't even count the amount of hours I watched my brother play that game. So it's kind of nostalgic for me. I know I'm interested in watching the show, and I think it would be a show that I would really end up liking. I'm just bad at TV, but it's one of the shows right now that's currently running that is at the top of my list of things I want to check out. I still need to go back and watch the studio, and I'm like, where do I go to? Like, TV is hard because like I'm very selective with what I watch on TV, unless it's Stranger Things and I need to be a part of the week-to-week water cooler show, but Fallout, I'm like, I need to check that out, but it's just there's Adolescence still from this year, which I could probably get through in a weekend. So I'm like, there's a lot of stuff I'm kind of juggling TV-wise that I want to look into, but Fallout is definitely top of that list.
Yeah. As far as new releases this week, for January 2nd, 2026, first release week of the year, not a lot of big things coming out, really. The first thing is The Plague, which had a limited release, but is expanding into more theaters this week, starring Joel Edgerton. And it's about a socially awkward tween. That's not Joel Edgerton. It's another somebody else is playing him. But this teen goes to like a water polo camp, and it's kind of the psychological turmoil over the summer. And then we also have We Bury the Dead, coming from Zach Hilditch, starring Daisy Ridley, and it's after a catastrophic military disaster. The dead don't just rise, they hunt. So there's some zombies. Daisy Ridley's looking for her husband, and the trailer looks pretty good. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I forgot when the hell that movie was coming out, and then I just remember that trailer. So I was like, oh yeah, the Daisy Ridley movie, that's coming out the first week of January. All right, so I'm really excited for The Plague. I just don't know when that's going to be around us, but if it is expanding and we're going to have it in theaters near us, I've heard so many great things about that, and I want to check that one out as soon as possible. So kind of a good start to January, at least with what we're looking at in terms of what quality we might be getting. January is no longer necessarily the dumping grounds that it used to be. So pretty excited start to 2026 that we have to look forward to. In terms of physical media roundup, we've talked about it before. Corey and I are Corey's the only person that's going to buy me movies for Christmas, and I'm probably one of, if not the only person that's going to buy you movies for Christmas. So now that Christmas is wrapped up, I decided to go on a spending spree of just buying a fuck ton of movies that I wanted to add to my collection. A lot of them are Star Trek movies, just based off of my newfound love of Undiscovered Country. I did buy Star Trek 6 Undiscovered Country this past week. I also added to the collection with Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, which I know is the one that's about whales, but a lot of people really like that one, so I'm interested enough to see that. Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, I didn't see that one. I know where it kind of carries over from Wrath of Khan, so I'm excited to see that story continue there. And I also bought one of the Jean-Luc Picard Star Trek movies, Star Trek First Contact. I mentioned that when I was wanting to watch a film up north on a big screen, a space opera or sci-fi movie that I hadn't seen before, and I looked up the Star Trek ranking of like what consensus can we agree on of the best Star Trek movies. First Contact was usually towards the top of that list, so I'm excited to watch that one as well. I also got the Criterion Blu-ray of Pierre Lefou. I don't know how to say it. I'm not French, but it's a Jean-Luc Godard film, and it's usually looked at as being one of his better films. That and Breathless is usually in the conversation, so I'm excited to check that out. Also added the film from Fritz Lang, The Big Heat, which is a noir film. About the Criterion of that. Also about the Criterion of One False Move. I've never heard of this movie, but I know Bill Paxton's in it. So I'm really excited to sit down and check that out. Also got Le Cercle Rouge, which I believe translates to The Red Circle. No idea if that's right or not. Didn't look into that. Bought the Criterion of that. I know it's a bank heist movie, so I'm really excited to watch that. The Life of Chuck I bought on Blu-ray. That is still, spoiler alert, my favorite film of 2025. I don't think that's going to change. So when we talk about our top 10 of the year, prepare for me to say that Life of Chuck is still my favorite film of the year. I'm really excited to add that to my collection. I don't love the releases of the movie. I've been wanting to try and find a cool steelbook or something like a 4K Blu-ray combo pack, not just a generic-ass Blu-ray. And I'm a little disappointed, but I just want to add this movie so desperately to my collection. So bought the Blu-ray of Life of Chuck. And then I also bought I believe it is a Japanese horror film from 2001 called Pulse. I bought the Arrow Blu-ray special edition release of that. So I have a very busy mailman that's going to be coming to me with a thick box of movies that I'm really excited to unwrap later on this week, and I'll start plugging away on some of these Star Trek movies that I'm really excited about.
You have to get another shelf.
Dude, I've started having to pack shit too deep. On my shelf. My shelves are long enough, but I'm having to fucking hide movies behind other movies, so it's getting pretty hairy.
Yeah.
Gonna need to get a house sometime soon, I think.
Need a whole movie room.
Yeah.
I did not buy anything this week, and not a lot coming out this week. Really, the only notable thing is a re-release of Breakdown. The 4K coming out. It's a Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan movie. I haven't seen it, but I just thought they were re-releasing that. So I'm sure next week there will be some more stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Ripping into some movie news. There's not a whole lot to talk about this week, so we're going to try and rifle through it, and we'll give our overall thoughts, and then we'll end this fucking episode because it's already 15 minutes, probably longer than it should have been. But trailer roundup. We had a leaked, similar to the Steve Rogers trailer, a leaked Thor trailer for Avengers Doomsday that came out. It's kind of coinciding with the Avatar weekly release schedule that Doomsday is doing with their trailers. We also got a trailer for Madden from David O. Russell with Nicolas Cage. We got Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. I immediately sent that trailer to our buddy Ethan because he is the biggest Peaky Blinders fan I know. Also, in other news, Disney is set to top $6 billion in global box office revenue in 2025. This will be the studio's fifth time reaching this milestone after 2016 through 2019. This is fueled by billion-dollar hits like Zootopia 2, Lilo and Stitch, obviously Avatar, Fire and Ash, the three consistent, somewhat profitable Marvel films that came out this year, and Disney is just continuing to dominate this year. So it's kind of overall, I feel like the box office for 2025 wasn't as high as they were hoping, but Disney's still reaching that kind of high marking checkpoint of we raked in $6 billion. It's hard to complain if you're Disney right now. And other similar Disney news, Marvel at least specific, there was a report, this isn't confirmed, but obviously there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that came out this past week being the holiday week. So we thought it might be nice to kind of mention this because it's kind of somewhat exciting for us. But Spider-Man 4, Brand New Day, which is coming from Destin Daniel Cretton, is reportedly bringing back Rosario Dawson's character as Daredevil's Claire Temple. This is coming from insider Daniel Rickman. She would be joining the rest of the returning Netflix-era crossover cast with Charlie Cox, John Bernthal, and will be in Tom Holland's fourth Spider-Man film, which will be hitting theaters in July of 2026. So, again, that's a report, not fully confirmed. Corey, any of this news, what jumps out to you? What was the big takeaway from this past week for you?
I really like Claire Temple. I like Rosario Dawson. I think she was, just the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, if I remember right. So I'd be down to see her come back if this news is true. As far as the trailers go, Peaky Blinders in the new year, leading up to Peaky Blinders: The Immortal Man in March. I'm going to watch through the whole show. So give myself a couple months to watch through it. That feels like a fine enough time to get through a few seasons.
I think it's 4 or 5.
4 or 5 seasons. Yeah. So I'm like, I can do that. I kind of, last year, I think, beginning of the year, end of last year, I did, Succession I watched through. So just getting through some shows I want to watch, and this works good with the movie coming out, because I think that it's something I'm going to really like. I love Tom Hardy, so just seeing him pop up in the show for a bit, I'm pumped for. The Madden trailer looks, Nicolas Cage playing John Madden. Christian Bale's in there, too. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, the Doomsday trailer, it's the Thor-focused one. It hasn't been, officially released online, but it's played ahead of Fire and Ash, like you mentioned. A lot of the Doomsday, both with the trailers and then with what we've seen of Doctor Doom in the post-credits scene of Fantastic Four, it's been focused on kids a lot, I've noticed, where Fantastic Four, Doom is going after Franklin Richards. And then with the Steve Rogers trailer, we see him with a kid. We don't quite know the extent of where that kid's going to play in. Mm-hmm. But then with Thor, it's the adopted kid, Love, who was, speaking of Christian Bale, Gore's daughter in that movie, resurrected at the end of that movie. So, interesting. It feels like Doom maybe going after kids, maybe as like an inciting incident in Doomsday.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a theory. But
I didn't even catch on to that. I like that idea.
Yeah, it could be something. And yeah, like we keep hearing reports of what the third and fourth Doomsday trailers are. I've heard like a Doctor Doom focused one. I've heard an X-Men, a Fantastic Four focused. Like I don't know where the fuck it's going, but that's kind of exciting. But yeah, I just saw the leaked version on like fucking TikTok or whatever. So because I don't really care to go see Avatar again.
I will see, I think, Avatar again for sure, maybe in this third week of release, and maybe I'll be able to catch that, whatever the third Avengers trailer is, because that's the one I think the most excited about. I think through rumblings I've heard like the fourth one when they released it is going to be kind of more of like an actual trailer for Doomsday, whereas these have been more character centric, these first three. But I've heard the thing that excites me is like the third one might be about the X-Men. I'm like, oh, if that is true, I would lose if I see James Marsden in like comic accurate Cyclops attire, I will lose my fucking shit. I am so hyped for that. So I'm kind of excited for that trailer. You showed me the Thor trailer from some person's theater recording of this like trapezoid of the screen. And that is pretty cool. I like the tone that they're striking, and I like in the trailer that Thor is like, help me, like give me strength to go do this final battle one more time, basically. Which I feel like is going to be the mantra for a lot of the original three, well, at least two of the original three with Thor and Captain America being like, all right, one more ride, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go fuck these guys up, or do them up. So I'm pretty excited about that. Disney cracking $6 billion. Jeez. All right. Not the most surprising with kind of all the properties that they own, and they have massive franchises that contribute to that. And I'd love to see Claire Temple. I love Rosario Dawson, and I think she was one of the more surprising characters in that Netflix run of Daredevil. I remember the first time that she's really introduced. It's mostly like almost a full episode of them in Claire's like apartment as she's helping Daredevil like get back to health. And I was like, holy shit, why is this like one of the best episodes of this first season? Like it really threw me. So I'd be excited to see that character as well as more kind of that Netflix era Daredevil crossover within the MCU, and hopefully they beyond Spider-Man, they're in more projects moving forward. So I'm excited about that as well. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Corey did mention we will look to get into our top 10 of 2025, as well as likely our bottom 5 surprises, disappointments. We'll have that video likely later on this week, either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Next week, it will be more onto the typical weekly updated episodes. I think it will be officially season 3 on the way it's organized on either Spotify or whatever the fuck, which like it's basically just us marking it each year. But I'm really excited to continue doing this. We'll talk more about looking back at 2025 and even get into a little bit more of Oscar conversation here in the coming weeks. So I'm really excited about that. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews and movie news. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Leave us a comment if you would, unless it's something ratting on me or getting pissed at me for how much I hate Stranger Things. But anyways, all film is subjective. It's not just about what's on screen. It's about who's next to you in the theater.
For Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.